Imagine Sarah, a marketing executive in downtown Chicago, sitting alone at her favorite coffee shop on Michigan Avenue. Around her, conversations buzz with energy, yet she finds herself scrolling through social media, watching others' seemingly vibrant social lives unfold on her screen. The irony isn't lost on her, surrounded by people, yet feeling profoundly alone. If this resonates with you, you're not alone in feeling alone. When asked about his lack of friends, a wise Stoic once likened friendship to a diamond, elusive and precious. He said, "Friendships are rare, valuable, and often surrounded by imitations." After experiencing betrayals and disappointments, we begin to believe that all friendships might be mere illusions, just convincing fakes glittering in the social marketplace of modern life. Building on this sentiment, we discover a profound truth. Genuine friends are treasures to be held dear. Yet how rare it is to find someone in life whom we can truly regard with such reverence. But what does it mean when you find yourself navigating the bustling streets of New York, Los Angeles, or Miami, surrounded by millions of people yet feeling fundamentally disconnected? Does a lack of friends indicate something deeper about who you are as a person? The ancient Stoics would tell us that this question itself reveals wisdom, the capacity for honest self-reflection that most people avoid. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations while governing the Roman Empire, reminds us, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In our context, the best response to loneliness isn't to desperately chase superficial connections, but to understand the deeper currents that shape our social world. Sometimes, not having a sea of acquaintances doesn't reflect your worth. It reflects your discernment. Today, we'll explore this delicate territory through the lens of Stoic philosophy, examining 9 specific barriers that often stand between us and meaningful connection. We'll navigate the complexities of modern social dynamics, from the anxiety-inducing pressure of networking events in Manhattan's financial district to the overwhelming choices of dating apps that promise connection but often deliver isolation. Remember, just as a sculptor chisels away excess stone to reveal the masterpiece hidden within, you can shape your social world too. This isn't about collecting friends like trophies on a shelf, but about carving out relationships that withstand the test of time and circumstance. The Stoics understood that quality trumps quantity in all things, from our thoughts to our friendships. As Epictetus taught his students in ancient Greece, wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. Applied to friendship, richness lies not in having countless connections, but in nurturing relationships that truly matter. Whether you're an introvert finding solace in quiet connections or someone whose circumstances have shifted your social landscape, this journey through Stoic wisdom will provide practical tools for authentic human connection. So let's embark on this exploration together, approaching the topic of friendship or its absence, with the courage to examine ourselves honestly and the wisdom to build something meaningful from whatever foundation we currently stand upon. 1. Virtue of quiet strength. Transforming introversion into wisdom. Meet David, a software engineer working in Seattle's tech corridor. Every morning, he rides the crowded bus to his downtown office, earbuds in, avoiding eye contact with fellow commuters. At work, while his extroverted colleagues effortlessly navigate office politics and happy hour invitations, David retreats to his cubicle, excelling at his technical work but struggling with the seemingly simple act of small talk by the coffee machine. He watches others form friendships that appear as natural as breathing, while for him, social interaction feels like solving a complex algorithm without the right programming language. We are fundamentally wired to be social creatures. Yet for many like David, the maze of social interactions feels like navigating a puzzle with crucial pieces missing. Society often frames shyness or introversion as obstacles to overcome, deficits to be corrected through forced networking events or personality makeovers. But here's where ancient Stoic wisdom offers a revolutionary perspective. What if these traits aren't barriers but unique vantage points from which to view and engage with the world? Marcus Aurelius, himself a contemplative leader who preferred philosophical reflection to social gatherings, wrote in his Meditations, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." This isn't resignation, it's recognition that your introversion isn't a cosmic mistake requiring correction. It's acceptance that your path to meaningful connection might look different from the extroverted ideal celebrated in American culture. The first step in this transformation lies in embracing your authentic nature. Consider Maria, a librarian in Boston who spent years forcing herself to attend loud networking events, feeling drained and inauthentic. The breakthrough came when she realized that her preference for deep, one-on-one conversations wasn't a limitation, it was her superpower. Introverts often excel at the very skills that create lasting friendships. Active listening, thoughtful responses, and genuine interest in others' inner worlds. Your introversion becomes quiet power when you stop apologizing for it. Seneca observed, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. The end of trying to be someone you're not marks the beginning of authentic connection." When you accept yourself fully, you break free from the exhausting chains of what-ifs and should-bests that drain your social energy before you even begin interacting with others. This self-acceptance becomes your armor in the bustling world of social interaction, making you unshakable in your quiet confidence. Picture James, an accountant in Chicago who transformed his networking approach. Instead of trying to work the entire room at professional events, he focuses on having 2 or 3 meaningful conversations. His genuine curiosity and thoughtful questions make him memorable in ways that superficial small talk never could. Now, let's address the practical challenge. You're at a social gathering, feeling that familiar tug of shyness creeping up your spine like an unwelcome visitor. Here's where Stoicism shines its brightest light. Epictetus taught, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." Your control lies in your actions, your words, your kindness, not in others' thoughts about you or the final outcome of any social interaction. When you speak, do it not to impress, but to express your authentic self. This fundamental shift in focus, from fear of judgment to authenticity of expression, lightens the psychological load dramatically. Conversations transform from battlegrounds where you might lose face into playgrounds for genuine human connection. The pressure evaporates when you realize you're not performing for an audience. You're simply being human with other humans. Additionally, understand that friendship isn't a trophy to be won through social gymnastics, but a garden to be patiently nurtured. Seneca, who valued deep philosophical friendships over social climbing, viewed life as a journey of continuous learning and growth. Every day is a step toward eternity, he wrote, reminding us that each interaction, successful or awkward, is simply another step on your path of personal development. View each social encounter as an opportunity to learn, grow, and reflect, rather than as a test of your worthiness for human connection. This perspective removes the desperate edge from social interactions. You're not collecting friends like trading cards. You're cultivating relationships that resonate with your authentic self. Through the lens of Stoicism, shyness and introversion transform from shadows that follow you into sources of strength that guide you. It's not about overcoming these natural traits through forced extroversion, but about understanding and leveraging them to navigate the complex world of human relationships with wisdom, authenticity, and quiet confidence that draws the right people into your orbit. 2. The Fortress of Discernment: Building Wise Trust. Jennifer, a financial analyst in Manhattan, sits across from her therapist's office window overlooking Central Park. She's describing how her college roommate, someone she considered a sister, spread her most intimate secrets throughout their social circle during a petty argument. "I trusted her completely," Jennifer says, her voice barely above a whisper. "I told her things I've never told anyone. Now I can't even imagine opening up to someone new. What if they do the same thing?" This scenario plays out in countless therapy sessions, coffee shop conversations, and late-night reflections across America's cities, where trust, once broken, becomes a fortress with walls so high that even genuine people can't scale them. When navigating the intricate maze of modern friendships, trust issues often loom like skyscrapers casting long shadows over our emotional landscape. It's like walking on a tightrope suspended between vulnerability and self-protection, trying to balance your authentic self with the unpredictability of human nature. Trust isn't distributed like free samples at Costco, it's earned through consistent actions, piece by careful piece, over time. The Stoic approach to trust begins with a fundamental principle: know thyself. Socrates' ancient wisdom, embraced by Stoic philosophers, demands that we start by understanding our own emotional architecture. What triggers your trust issues? Is it childhood experiences, past betrayals, or perhaps a pattern of choosing people who aren't ready for genuine connection? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present," reminding us that past hurts, while real, don't have to dictate future possibilities. Being clear about who you are creates an internal compass for navigating relationships. Consider Robert, a teacher in Los Angeles who realized his trust issues stemmed from his need to be liked by everyone. He would share personal information too quickly, hoping to fast-track intimacy, then feel betrayed when casual acquaintances didn't treat his confidences with the reverence he expected. Understanding this pattern allowed him to adjust his approach, sharing appropriately based on the actual depth of relationship, not his desired depth. This self-knowledge functions like having a reliable GPS in the wilderness of human connection. It helps you recognize when to open the door to someone new and when to keep it appropriately closed. The Stoics understood that wisdom lies not in trusting everyone or trusting no one, but in developing the discernment to trust wisely. Think of yourself as a tree with deep roots. Seneca observed, "Every tree that would grow high must sink its roots deep." Just as a mighty oak knows its foundation, you must know your core values, your non-negotiables, your essential self. This self-knowledge becomes your anchor in the ever-changing tides of human relationships. When someone violates your trust, the tree doesn't uproot itself. It remains grounded while learning to recognize which soil is fertile and which is toxic. Here's a crucial Stoic insight: people, like seasons, change. Someone might seem trustworthy today and disappoint you tomorrow. This isn't a call to build impenetrable walls around your heart, but rather to acknowledge that impermanence is the only constant in human behavior. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When trust is broken, it's not the end of your story, it's valuable data about that person and an opportunity for you to grow stronger and wiser. This doesn't mean becoming cold and distant, retreating into cynical isolation. Instead, it's about being realistic, understanding that perfection is a myth, especially in human behavior. Be like water, adaptable and flowing, yet always maintaining your essential nature. Water doesn't become bitter when it encounters rocks, it simply finds another path while remaining true to its nature. Open, honest communication becomes your most powerful tool in building trustworthy relationships. When doubts creep into your mind like uninvited guests, address them directly. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, shadows that seemed threatening are revealed as harmless furniture. Don't shy away from these conversations. They're the bridges that can transform misunderstandings into moments of deeper clarity and connection. Consider Lisa, a nurse in Chicago who learned to address trust concerns directly with her friend group. When she felt excluded from plans, instead of assuming malicious intent, she simply asked, "I noticed I wasn't included in the dinner plans. Was that intentional, or did it just happen?" This approach led to discovering that her friends assumed she was too busy with her demanding schedule to join them. What could have become a trust-eroding situation became an opportunity for better communication. Remember, healthy communication is a two-way street requiring both courage to speak and wisdom to listen. This balance creates a rhythm, a dance of words and understanding that strengthens the bonds of authentic friendship. Listen as much as you speak, seeking to understand rather than to be understood. Ultimately, the Stoic approach to trust is about building a carefully curated circle of relationships where trust serves as the foundation, not an afterthought. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When someone breaks your trust, the best response isn't to become untrustworthy yourself, but to become wiser in your discernment while maintaining your capacity for genuine connection. 3. Creating your agora, cultivating opportunities for connection. Michael stares at his phone screen in his downtown Denver apartment, scrolling through Instagram stories of friends at parties, colleagues at networking events, and acquaintances at weekend gatherings. His phone buzzes constantly with notifications, LinkedIn updates, Facebook invites, Twitter mentions, yet his heart feels empty, yearning for something real. The irony of modern urban life hits him like a cold Colorado morning. We're more connected than ever through technology, yet many of us feel profoundly disconnected from authentic human relationships. His calendar is full of virtual meetings, but his evenings are spent alone, wondering where all the genuine people have gone. This paradox defines much of contemporary American life, particularly in our major cities where millions of people live within miles of each other yet struggle to form meaningful connections. We've created a world where we can instantly message someone across the globe but can't strike up a conversation with our neighbor in the elevator. The ancient Greeks had a word for the central gathering place of their cities, the agora, where citizens naturally came together for commerce, politics, and social interaction. Today, we must intentionally create our own agora, our own spaces for authentic human connection. The Stoic philosophers understood that virtue isn't practiced in isolation but through engagement with our community. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive can bring none to the bee." This wisdom reminds us that our individual flourishing is intimately connected to our contribution to the greater good. Volunteering in your community isn't just about helping others, it's a gateway to meeting souls who share your values and care about the same causes that move your heart. Consider Sarah, a marketing professional in Atlanta who felt isolated despite her busy social media presence. She began volunteering at a local urban garden in the Old Fourth Ward, spending Saturday mornings planting vegetables and teaching children about sustainable living. Within months, she'd formed genuine friendships with fellow volunteers, a retired teacher, a young father, and environmental scientist. Their shared commitment to community improvement created bonds that transcended small talk and social media connections. Every shared task became a thread weaving her into the social fabric of her neighborhood. These volunteer activities reflect a fundamental Stoic virtue, contributing to the common good while simultaneously meeting like-minded individuals on the same path. Whether you're organizing books at the Chicago Public Library, serving meals at a Los Angeles homeless shelter, or participating in beach cleanups in Miami, these activities naturally connect you with people who demonstrate their values through action, not just words. But let's not overlook the power of shared knowledge and professional growth as avenues for connection. Picture yourself walking into a digital marketing workshop in San Francisco's Mission District, surrounded by people who speak the same professional language you do. Workshops, seminars, and continuing education courses related to your field or interests aren't just resume builders, they're fertile ground for friendships rooted in mutual respect and shared expertise. Seneca observed, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." The end of passive hoping for friendships to materialize marks the beginning of actively creating opportunities for connection. In these professional development spaces, conversations flow naturally because you're surrounded by people who understand the nuances of your work, the challenges of your industry, the excitement of learning something new. It's like discovering your professional tribe, where career growth and personal connections develop simultaneously. The ancient Stoics also recognized the profound connection between human beings and the natural world. Epictetus taught, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." Applied to friendship, this wisdom suggests that the richest connections often come not from expensive entertainment or elaborate social events, but from simple, shared experiences in nature's embrace. Embrace the great outdoors as your social canvas. Activities like hiking groups in the Rocky Mountains, cycling clubs along the Hudson River, or group yoga sessions in Golden Gate Park aren't just beneficial for physical health, they're catalysts for authentic human connection. In nature's embrace, the artificial barriers of social status, professional titles, and material possessions naturally dissolve. A hiking trail doesn't care if you're a CEO or a barista. What matters is your willingness to put one foot in front of the other and share the journey with others. These outdoor activities strip away the formalities and pretenses of typical social settings, allowing genuine connections to grow like wildflowers in fertile soil. There's something magical about sharing a sunrise from a mountain peak or laughing together when you're all equally muddy after a challenging trail. These experiences create shared memories that become the foundation for lasting friendships. While engaging in these activities, practice gratitude, another cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." But he continued with the crucial insight that despite these potential challenges, these are still fellow human beings deserving of respect and understanding. Practice gratitude for the natural world around you and for those who choose to share these moments with you, however briefly. This approach, rooted in Stoic principles of simplicity and sincerity, transforms the pursuit of friendship from a desperate hunt into a fulfilling journey of personal growth and community contribution. You're not collecting friends like trophies, you're cultivating connections that add genuine color and meaning to your life while contributing positively to your community and the world around you. 4. The art of human connection. Developing social virtue. Rachel sits in a bustling Seattle coffee shop, watching a group of friends at the next table effortlessly navigate conversation, their laughter creating a warm bubble of connection in the cold Pacific Northwest morning. She envies their apparent ease, remembering her own awkward attempt at small talk with a coworker yesterday that ended in uncomfortable silence. "I just don't know how to talk to people," she thinks, stirring her latte with unnecessary intensity. Everyone else seems to have received some social instruction manual that I never got. This feeling resonates with countless Americans navigating the complex landscape of modern social interaction, where authentic connection often feels like a lost art requiring skills that nobody explicitly teaches us. The truth that Rachel, and many like her, must understand is that friendships don't spontaneously materialize through wishful thinking or passive hoping. They require intentional effort, practice skills, and the right approach, elements often overlooked in our efficiency-obsessed culture that expects instant results in everything from food delivery to romantic connections. Social skills, like any other competency, can be developed through conscious practice and patient persistence. Marcus Aurelius, despite being one of history's most powerful leaders, understood the fundamental importance of human connection. He wrote, "We are born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower." This wisdom subtly urges us to embrace social opportunities, however small or seemingly insignificant they might appear. Every interaction is practice, every conversation an opportunity to refine the art of human connection. The journey begins with manageable, low-stakes steps that build confidence gradually. Consider James, a software developer in Austin who transformed his social life by starting small. Instead of forcing himself into intimidating networking events, he began with simple goals: making genuine eye contact with the barista at his neighborhood coffee shop, asking thoughtful questions during team meetings, commenting meaningfully on colleagues' social media posts. These micro-interactions became building blocks for his growing social confidence. Strike up conversations in coffee shops by commenting on someone's book choice or asking about their laptop stickers. Join local clubs aligned with your interests, photography groups in Brooklyn, book clubs in Portland, hiking meetups in Denver. Engage authentically in online communities related to your hobbies or profession, then transition some of those digital connections into real-world meetings. Like a plant requiring consistent water and sunlight to flourish, social skills need regular nurturing and patient cultivation to develop into something beautiful and sustaining. Seneca observed, "It is likely that some troubles will befall us, but it is not a present fact." How often has the unexpected happened? How often has the expected never come to pass? Applied to social interaction, this wisdom reminds us that our fears about awkward conversations or social rejection are often imaginary troubles that may never materialize. Most people are far more understanding and forgiving than our anxious minds predict. One of the most transformative elements in developing social skills is learning to listen with genuine intent and empathy rather than simply waiting for your turn to speak. In our culture that celebrates quick wit and clever responses, being someone who truly listens sets you apart like a lighthouse in a storm. Most people spend conversations mentally rehearsing their next comment rather than absorbing what's being shared with them. Practice asking questions not merely to generate responses, but to genuinely understand the person before you. When someone mentions their weekend hiking trip, don't immediately launch into your own outdoor adventures. Instead, ask, "What drew you to that particular trail?" Or, "How did you get into hiking?" Dive into their stories with authentic curiosity, treating each person as a fascinating book you've just opened, rather than a mirror reflecting your own experiences. Epictetus taught, "God has given you one face, and you make yourself another." This ancient wisdom speaks directly to the importance of authenticity in social connections. The shift from trying to impress others with manufactured charm to genuinely understanding their experiences creates the foundation for meaningful relationships. It's not about showcasing your wit, accomplishments, or interesting stories, but about creating a safe space where others feel genuinely valued and heard. Additionally, embrace the inevitable ups and downs of social interactions with stoic calm and philosophical perspective. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Not every conversation will spark a lifelong friendship, and that's perfectly acceptable. Some interactions will feel natural and energizing, others might feel forced or awkward, and both outcomes are normal parts of the human experience. Each social encounter, whether it blossoms into deep friendship or quietly fizzles out, represents progress in your personal development journey. Rejection isn't a devastating commentary on your fundamental worth as a human being, but simply a natural aspect of social interaction that everyone experiences regularly. With each conversation, successful or unsuccessful, you're not only building practical social skills, but also developing the emotional resilience to navigate complex human relationships with grace, wisdom, and authentic confidence. Consider Maria, a graphic designer in Phoenix who reframed social failures as valuable learning experiences. When a potential friendship didn't develop as she hoped, instead of retreating into self-criticism, she reflected on what she learned about communication, compatibility, and her own social preferences. This growth mindset transformed every interaction into an opportunity for personal development. Remember, your inherent worth isn't determined by the quantity of friends in your social circle, but by the quality of connections you nurture and the authentic presence you bring to every human interaction. 5 Seasons of Friendship: Navigating Life's Natural Changes. Tom sits in his Chicago apartment scrolling through old college photos on his laptop. There's a picture from 5 years ago, him and his 3 best friends at their favorite bar near campus, arms around each other, huge smiles, looking like they'd be inseparable forever. Now, one friend moved to Portland for a tech job, another got married and disappeared into domestic life, and the third became so consumed with climbing the corporate ladder that he barely responds to text messages. Tom stares at that photo and wonders, how did we go from being so close to being virtual strangers? This scenario plays out in countless lives across America, where the natural evolution of life circumstances creates distance between people who once shared everything. The ancient story of the boy and the apple tree perfectly mirrors this common human experience. In childhood, the boy played joyfully under the tree's branches, their friendship pure, uncomplicated, and mutually delightful. The tree provided shade, comfort, and companionship, while the boy brought life and laughter to the tree's quiet existence. But as the boy grew older, his priorities shifted dramatically. He needed money, so he took the tree's apples to sell. Later, wanting a house, he cut down the tree's branches. Eventually, needing a boat, he took the tree's trunk, leaving only a stump. This allegory reflects how our adult priorities often overshadow the friendships that once sustained us. As we mature, our focus naturally shifts toward what society tells us are essentials: career advancement, financial security, home ownership, romantic relationships, family responsibilities. In pursuing these goals, all legitimate and important, we may unintentionally neglect the friendships that once provided emotional shelter and support, much like the apple tree that offered unconditional companionship. Marcus Aurelius, despite his enormous responsibilities as Roman emperor, understood this challenge. He wrote, "Remember that very little disturbs the wise man and that very little is needed for happiness." Applied to friendship, this wisdom suggests that in our relentless pursuit of external achievements, we often overlook the simple yet profound happiness that comes from maintaining genuine human connections. Consider Jennifer, a marketing executive in Manhattan who spent her 20s climbing the corporate ladder. She worked 70-hour weeks, attended endless networking events, and prioritized professional relationships over personal ones. By 30, she had achieved remarkable career success but realized she had no close friends to celebrate with. Her college friendships had withered from neglect, and her new acquaintances were primarily transactional professional contacts rather than genuine companions. The boy in the story returned to the tree only when he needed something specific: apples for money, branches for building, trunk for transportation. Similarly, we sometimes reconnect with old friends only during major life transitions, job changes, breakups, family crises, or moments when we suddenly realize our isolation. But the tree, representing unconditional friendship, always welcomed the boy despite his pattern of taking without giving. Seneca observed, "It is equally faulty to trust everyone and to trust no one." This wisdom applies perfectly to friendship maintenance. We shouldn't expect friends to remain static while we change and grow, nor should we abandon relationships simply because circumstances shift. Instead, we must find the middle path, acknowledging that relationships naturally evolve while making conscious efforts to nurture connections that truly matter. Rebuilding or nurturing friendships requires intentional effort, much like tending a garden that's been neglected. It's not about grand, dramatic gestures or expensive gifts, but about consistent small acts of kindness, understanding, and genuine interest in others' lives. Start with simple actions: sending thoughtful text messages, remembering important dates, making time for regular phone calls, or suggesting low-key meetups that fit into busy schedules. Lisa, a nurse in Denver, realized she'd lost touch with her college roommate after they both became absorbed in demanding careers. Instead of feeling guilty about the lost years, she sent a simple message: "I was just thinking about our late-night study sessions and how much your friendship meant to me. How are you doing these days?" This small gesture reopened communication and eventually led to a renewed friendship that accommodated their current life circumstances. Epictetus taught, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." In friendship terms, richness comes not from maintaining an extensive social network, but from deeply valuing and consistently nurturing the relationships that genuinely enhance your life. This doesn't mean abandoning all acquaintances, but rather recognizing which friendships deserve your limited time and emotional energy. Remember that authentic friendship is fundamentally a two-way street requiring care, attention, and emotional investment from both parties. The apple tree gave unconditionally, but healthy human relationships require reciprocity. Don't be like the boy who remembered the tree only when he needed something. Instead, be someone who regularly checks in during good times, celebrates others' successes, offers support during challenges, and maintains connection even when life gets complicated. The story teaches us that friendship requires conscious cultivation throughout life's changing seasons. Just as trees grow deeper roots over time rather than overnight, meaningful friendships develop through consistent attention and mutual care. Some relationships may naturally fade as people grow in different directions, and that's acceptable. But the friendships worth preserving, those that add genuine meaning to your life, deserve intentional effort to maintain their vitality despite changing circumstances. Understanding this natural ebb and flow of relationships while committing to nurture the connections that truly matter transforms friendship from something that happens to you into something you actively create and maintain throughout your life's journey. 6. The River's Wisdom: Adapting Priorities with Stoic Grace. Amanda stares at her calendar on her phone while riding the subway to her Manhattan law firm. Every slot from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. is color-coded. Red for client meetings, blue for court appearances, green for document review, yellow for family obligations. She scrolls through 3 weeks of similar schedules, searching desperately for a single free evening to grab dinner with her college friend who's visiting from Seattle. The realization hits her like a cold wave. She's become so efficient at managing her professional life that she's systematically scheduled out her personal relationships. Her career is thriving, her bank account is healthy, but her social life has become a casualty of her success-driven priorities. This scenario reflects a fundamental truth about modern American life. We live in constant motion, our priorities shifting like tectonic plates beneath our feet. Imagine your life as a river, continuously flowing and changing course as it encounters new landscapes. As you navigate through the rapids of career advancement, the meandering curves of romantic relationships, or the serene but demanding waters of family responsibilities, your available time and energy for social interactions naturally ebbs and flows with the current of your circumstances. The ancient Stoics understood this dynamic nature of human existence better than most philosophical traditions. Marcus Aurelius, while managing the vast Roman Empire, wrote, "Time is like a river of vanishing opportunities and the current is swift." He recognized that life's demands create natural constraints on our social availability, and this isn't a personal failing but simply the reality of a life lived with purpose and responsibility. Stoicism offers profound guidance for navigating these transitional periods without losing our humanity or our connections. When your days overflow with meetings, deadlines, family obligations, or educational pursuits, it becomes tempting to maintain superficial contact with dozens of acquaintances through social media likes and brief text exchanges. However, Stoic wisdom suggests a different approach, quality over quantity in all aspects of life, including relationships. Epictetus taught, wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. Applied to friendship, this means it's far better to cultivate a small number of deep, meaningful connections than to spread yourself thin across numerous superficial relationships. This approach isn't about cutting people out of your life callously, but rather about focusing your limited emotional and temporal resources where they can have the most genuine impact. Consider Michael, a medical resident in Boston whose grueling schedule left him exhausted and socially isolated. Instead of trying to maintain his entire college social circle, he chose 3 friends who truly understood his situation and made deliberate efforts to stay connected with them. He scheduled monthly video calls, sent thoughtful messages during brief breaks, and made their occasional meetups deeply meaningful by being fully present rather than distracted by work stress. This intentional approach honors not only your own time constraints but also respects others' time and emotional investment. When you're genuinely present in fewer interactions, you create space for authentic connection rather than going through the motions of social obligation. Seneca observed, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Rather than wasting energy on maintaining relationships that have naturally run their course, focus on nurturing connections that genuinely enhance your life and theirs. Adapting to life's changing priorities with Stoic grace doesn't mean resigning yourself to social isolation or accepting loneliness as the price of success. Instead, it requires understanding and embracing the natural rhythm of relationships throughout different life seasons. Some friends may drift away as your paths diverge, and this is neither a personal failure nor a tragedy. It's simply the natural evolution of human connections. Simultaneously, new friendships may emerge precisely because of your evolving priorities. Sarah, a new mother in Seattle, discovered that her childless friends gradually became less available for her new reality, but she formed deep bonds with other parents who understood the unique challenges and joys of raising children. Her priorities shifted from late-night social gatherings to early morning playground meetups, and her friendships evolved accordingly. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together. This wisdom encourages us to remain open to new connections while honoring the natural changes in existing relationships. Each person who enters your life, whether they stay for a season or a lifetime, adds unique value to your personal tapestry of human experience. The key lies in being authentically present in your interactions regardless of their frequency. When you do connect with friends, put away your phone, listen actively, and engage wholeheartedly. Let Stoic principles guide you toward building friendships that aren't just compatible with your current circumstances but actually resonate with the person you're becoming through your life experiences. This approach transforms the challenge of maintaining friendships during busy periods from a source of guilt and stress into an opportunity for deeper, more intentional connection. You're not failing at friendship when your social calendar looks different than it did 5 years ago. You're evolving, and your relationships can evolve with you. Remember that authentic friendship isn't measured by the frequency of contact but by the quality of connection when you do interact. A monthly deep conversation with someone who truly understands your journey can be infinitely more valuable than weekly superficial interactions with acquaintances who don't really know who you've become. By embracing this river-like flow of life with Stoic acceptance and wisdom, you create space for relationships that not only survive your changing circumstances but actually thrive because they're built on genuine understanding, mutual respect, and authentic connection rather than mere convenience or habit. 7. Inner Citadel, mental well-being as foundation for connection. David sits in his downtown Portland apartment on a rainy Thursday evening, staring at 3 unread text messages from friends inviting him to weekend activities. His anxiety whispers familiar lies. They're just being polite, you'll say something awkward, they'll realize you're not as interesting as they thought. Despite genuinely wanting connection, his depression feels like a heavy blanket that makes even simple social interactions seem insurmountable. He's trapped in a cruel paradox, desperately needing human connection while feeling too mentally exhausted to reach for it. This internal battle plays out in millions of American homes, where mental health challenges create invisible barriers between people and the relationships that could help heal them. Our mental well-being, often relegated to the sidelines in our productivity-obsessed culture, actually serves as the silent cornerstone in the architecture of meaningful friendships. When our inner landscape is clouded by anxiety, shadowed by depression, or fragmented by stress, it's like trying to navigate a complex social maze while wearing a blindfold. The ancient Stoics understood this connection between inner peace and outer relationships better than most modern self-help approaches. Stoicism isn't about maintaining a stiff upper lip or suppressing emotions, it's about developing the wisdom to understand our mental landscape and the tools to navigate it skillfully. Marcus Aurelius, who struggled with his own periods of melancholy while governing an empire, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This isn't denial of mental health challenges, but recognition that we can develop strategies to work with our minds rather than being completely at their mercy. When anxiety convinces you that every social interaction is a potential catastrophe, or when depression makes you feel like a burden to others, it's like trying to build bridges while someone keeps handing you materials that crumble in your hands. The Stoics teach us to light a torch of awareness, not to completely dispel the darkness of mental health struggles, but to see a navigable path through them toward genuine human connection. Consider the insight often attributed to comedian George Carlin: "Scratch any cynic and you will find a disappointed idealist." This observation reveals a profound truth about mental health and relationships. Often, our cynicism about friendship, our social anxiety, or our depressive isolation stems from disappointed hopes about human connection. We've been hurt, let down, or overwhelmed, so our minds create protective barriers that unfortunately also keep out the very connections we need for healing and growth. The practical application of Stoic principles to mental well-being begins with mindfulness, and this isn't just trendy meditation jargon. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. True mindfulness means becoming aware of your mental patterns without immediately judging them as good or bad. When anxiety tells you that your friends secretly find you annoying, mindfulness allows you to observe that thought without automatically believing it or acting on it. In our attention economy culture, where every app and platform competes for your mental focus, being fully present in a conversation becomes a rare and precious gift. When you're mindfully present with another person, not mentally rehearsing your next comment, not worrying about their judgment, not distracted by your phone, you signal that they matter. This kind of presence is friendship currency that never loses its value. Seneca observed, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. For many people struggling with mental health challenges, this means letting go of the perfectionist idea that you need to be completely fixed before you can be a good friend. Instead, you can begin building connections from wherever you are right now, mental health struggles and all. Regular meditation practice, even just 10 minutes daily, extends benefits far beyond personal stress relief. When you develop the ability to observe your thoughts and emotions without being completely controlled by them, you become someone others naturally want to be around. There's something magnetic about people who possess inner calm, not because they never experience difficulties, but because they've learned to navigate challenges without being swept away by them. Lisa, a graphic designer in Chicago, discovered this truth during her recovery from severe anxiety. Instead of waiting until she felt normal to reconnect with friends, she began sharing her struggles honestly with trusted people. To her surprise, this vulnerability deepened her relationships rather than driving people away. Her friends appreciated her authenticity and several shared their own mental health challenges, creating bonds based on genuine understanding rather than superficial pleasantries. The Stoic concept of tranquility isn't about escaping to a peaceful beach resort, it's about developing an inner anchor that keeps you steady when life's inevitable storms hit. And storms will hit. Job stress, relationship challenges, family crises, health scares, financial pressures. Friends aren't just companions for sunny days, they become shelters during difficult times. By cultivating inner stability, you become someone others want to turn to when their own storms arrive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This wisdom is particularly powerful for those struggling with social anxiety or depression. Anxiety lives in imagined future catastrophes, while depression often dwells in past regrets. Friendship happens in the present moment, in this conversation, this shared laugh, this moment of understanding between two human beings. Stoicism teaches that inner tranquility comes through consistent self-reflection and emotional regulation practice. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless or suppressing your feelings. Rather, it means developing the skill to recognize your emotions, understand their messages, and choose how to respond rather than simply reacting automatically. When you master this internal process, you become a beacon of stability in an often chaotic world. People are naturally drawn to those who demonstrate emotional intelligence and inner peace. Not because these individuals never struggle, but because they've learned to struggle skillfully. They can sit with a friend's pain without trying to fix it immediately. They can share their own challenges without making others responsible for solving them. They can be present with whatever arises in relationships without being overwhelmed or defensive. Remember, pursuing mental well-being isn't selfish, it's one of the greatest gifts you can offer to your relationships. When you take care of your inner world, you create space for others to feel safe, understood, and genuinely cared for in your presence. 8. The sculptor's choice, crafting life with intentional balance. Maria stares at her reflection in the bathroom mirror of her San Francisco apartment at 11:47 p.m., still wearing her business suit from a 14-hour workday. Her phone shows 17 unread messages from friends, 3 missed calls from her sister, and a dozen social media notifications she's ignored for weeks. Tomorrow's calendar is already packed with back-to-back meetings, a client presentation, and a networking event she committed to months ago. She thinks about her college friend Emma, who recently moved to the city and has been suggesting they meet for coffee. "I'll reach out next week," Maria tells herself for the 4th consecutive week, knowing deep down that next week will bring its own avalanche of obligations. Her professional success has come at a cost she's only now beginning to calculate: the slow erosion of meaningful human connection. This scenario captures the modern American paradox where life's rapid pace often leads us down an increasingly solitary path, with friendships fading into background noise against the symphony of our busy schedules. We fill our days with activities that feel urgent and important, but at day's end, we often find ourselves sitting alone, surrounded by the material fruits of our productivity, yet starved for genuine human connection. The ancient Stoics understood that how we choose to spend our time reflects our deepest values, whether we're conscious of those choices or not. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This isn't about time management techniques or productivity hacks. It's about the fundamental question of what truly matters in a well-lived life. Are you filling your hours with activities that align with your authentic values? Or are you simply responding to whatever demands the loudest attention? Picture yourself as a sculptor standing before a block of marble that represents your daily life. Each choice you make, every yes and every no, is a chisel stroke that shapes the final masterpiece. The sculpture of your life can be a beautiful, balanced work of art that includes meaningful relationships, or it can become a lopsided monument to productivity that leaves you professionally successful but personally isolated. Consider James, a financial advisor in Boston who realized his networking calendar was packed with professional contacts but devoid of genuine friendships. He was attending 3 to 4 industry events per week, collecting business cards and LinkedIn connections, but felt more lonely than ever. The breakthrough came when he applied Stoic principles to his social choices. Instead of trying to maintain superficial contact with hundreds of professional acquaintances, he identified 5 people whose company he genuinely enjoyed and began investing real time in those relationships. This approach requires the courage to say no to time stealers that don't serve your deeper need for authentic connection. Marcus Aurelius observed, "Confine yourself to the present. When you're truly present in your choices, you can distinguish between activities that genuinely fulfill you and those that merely keep you busy." The former includes meaningful conversations, shared experiences, and moments of genuine laughter with people who know and appreciate your authentic self. The art lies not in stretching your day to accommodate more activities, but in sculpting it wisely to prioritize what genuinely matters. You might discover that you have fewer total hours available for socializing than you did in college, but the quality of these interactions can soar when you're intentional about how you spend them. By carefully selecting people who resonate with your values and current life stage, every social interaction becomes more meaningful and energizing rather than draining. Epictetus taught, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. Applied to social life, this wisdom suggests that richness comes not from maintaining an extensive social calendar, but from deeply valuing and consistently nurturing the relationships that genuinely enhance your life. This selectivity isn't about becoming antisocial or elitist. It's about recognizing that your time and emotional energy are finite resources that deserve thoughtful allocation. Remember the Stoic principle of balance, which isn't about dividing your time equally among all possible activities, but about aligning your choices with what creates genuine fulfillment. Picture your life as an intricate mosaic, with each tile representing different aspects of your existence. Career advancement, personal health, family obligations, romantic relationships, friendships, hobbies, rest, and personal growth. Each element holds importance and deserves a place in the overall design. Your task as the artist of your own life is to arrange these tiles thoughtfully, creating a harmonious pattern that reflects your authentic priorities. This requires constant adjustment and conscious decision-making. Some seasons of life may require larger tiles for career focus, while others might emphasize family or personal relationships. The key is maintaining awareness of the overall composition rather than letting any single element overwhelm the entire picture. Sarah, a marketing executive in Seattle, transformed her approach by treating friendship like any other important commitment. She blocked out specific times in her calendar for social activities, not just squeezing them into leftover moments between work obligations. She scheduled monthly dinners with close friends, weekly coffee dates with colleagues she wanted to know better, and quarterly weekend trips with her college roommates. By treating relationships as appointments with herself, she ensured they didn't get pushed aside by seemingly more urgent demands. This balancing act requires both strategic thinking and emotional intelligence. You must learn to recognize which social obligations energize you and which ones drain your limited reserves. Some networking events might genuinely lead to meaningful connections, while others might be professional theater that leaves you feeling empty. Some friendships might be growing deeper and more rewarding, while others might have naturally run their course. The Stoic approach encourages honest self-assessment without harsh self-judgment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being.' Part of your work as a human being involves maintaining the relationships that make life meaningful, not just the professional obligations that pay your bills. When you successfully create this balance, the picture of your life becomes not only beautiful but deeply satisfying. You're not sacrificing career success for social connection or vice versa. You're integrating both into a life that honors your need for achievement and your fundamental human need for belonging and authentic relationships." 9. Harmony in discord, finding unity through diverse interests. Kevin, a 28-year-old software engineer in Austin, sits at a company barbecue watching his colleagues naturally cluster into groups. The gamers huddle around someone's phone discussing the latest release, the fitness enthusiasts compare workout routines, the foodies debate the best taco trucks in town, and the music lovers argue about festival lineups. Kevin enjoys coding and science fiction novels, interests that don't seem to align with any of these groups. He feels like he's speaking a different language, wondering if his relatively niche interests doom him to social isolation in a world where connection seems to require shared hobbies and common pastimes. This scenario reflects a common misconception about friendship formation, that meaningful connections require identical interests, similar hobbies, or parallel life experiences. We often assume that lasting friendships must be built on shared activities, that the sports fan and the bookworm have nothing in common, or that the classical music lover and the hip-hop enthusiast occupy completely different social universes. However, diverse interests can actually function like different musical notes in an orchestra, each unique and distinct, yet contributing to a larger, more beautiful symphony of human connection. When apparent differences in interests create initial distance, they're not necessarily barriers to friendship but rather bridges waiting to be constructed between different worlds of experience and passion. Marcus Aurelius, who balanced the practical demands of governing an empire with deep philosophical contemplation, understood this principle intimately. He wrote, "We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower." This wisdom suggests that our differences aren't obstacles to overcome but complementary strengths that can enhance our collective human experience. Consider the scenario of Rachel, a classical violinist in Chicago, and her neighbor Jake, a dedicated rock guitarist. Initially, their musical preferences seemed to create an unbridgeable gap. She found his music too aggressive and chaotic, while he considered her repertoire stuffy and outdated. However, when they began discussing their shared experiences of musical discipline, performance anxiety, and the emotional release that comes from playing their instruments, they discovered profound common ground beneath their stylistic differences. Stoicism encourages this kind of curiosity about others' passions, reminding us that every person we encounter holds a universe of experiences, insights, and perspectives that can expand our own understanding of life. Seneca observed, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." The end of assuming that different interests mean incompatible personalities marks the beginning of discovering the rich connections that exist between seemingly disparate worlds. Instead of focusing solely on surface-level activities, Stoic wisdom guides us to seek deeper connections in shared values, common emotions, and universal human experiences. Suppose you're a dedicated gamer and your coworker is passionate about gardening. Rather than dismissing their interest as irrelevant to your world, ask genuine questions about what draws them to cultivating plants. You might discover that you both share a love of problem-solving, patience in working toward long-term goals, or the satisfaction of seeing something grow and develop through consistent effort. This approach requires what Epictetus called the discipline of desire, specifically the desire to understand rather than to be understood. When you meet someone whose interests seem foreign to your experience, resist the immediate impulse to categorize them as not your type of person. Instead, approach them with genuine curiosity about their world, treating their passions as windows into different aspects of human experience rather than barriers to connection. Lisa, a financial analyst in Denver, discovered this principle when she reluctantly attended a pottery class suggested by her therapist. Surrounded by artists, retirees, and creative types who seem to inhabit a completely different universe from her numbers-focused corporate world, she initially felt out of place. However, as she began asking questions about their creative processes, she found unexpected connections. The patience required for artistic development mirrored her approach to long-term financial planning. And the satisfaction of creating something beautiful with her hands provided a counterbalance to her screen-heavy work life. The magic happens when you realize that beneath different hobbies and interests, people often share common threads of dedication, curiosity, perseverance, and joy. A marathon runner and a chess master might both understand the discipline required for improvement, the satisfaction of strategic thinking, and the mental toughness needed to push through difficult moments. A book club enthusiast and a hiking group leader might both appreciate the value of shared experiences, the importance of preparation, and the joy of discovering something new. Stoicism serves as a philosophical compass, guiding us to find common ground in shared values and fundamental human emotions rather than limiting ourselves to common activities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does, but only to what he does himself." While this teaches us not to judge others, it also suggests that focusing on our own authentic interests while remaining open to others' passions creates space for unexpected connections. Imagine a world where friendships aren't confined to people who share identical hobbies, but instead flourish between individuals who appreciate and learn from each other's differences. Picture a sports enthusiast and a bookworm discovering their shared love of narrative, one through the stories that unfold on playing fields, the other through written tales. Envision a classical music lover and a hip-hop fan finding connection in their mutual appreciation for complex rhythms, emotional expression, and the power of music to transform mood and perspective. In this expanded understanding of friendship, Stoicism teaches us to lead with an open heart and an open mind, creating connections based not just on what we do in our free time, but on who we are as human beings and what we can learn from each other's unique perspectives. The richness of our friendships isn't measured by how similar our interests are, but by how courageously we embrace and grow from our differences. This approach transforms social interactions from a search for people exactly like us into an adventure of discovering the fascinating diversity of human experience. When you approach others with genuine curiosity about their passions, whether they love rock climbing, knitting, cryptocurrency, or birdwatching, you open doors to relationships that can expand your worldview, challenge your assumptions, and enrich your life in ways you never anticipated. The Stoic Path Forward, your journey to meaningful connection. As we reach the end of our exploration through the landscape of friendship and solitude, remember that the ancient Stoics didn't view emotions as weaknesses to be suppressed, but as natural human experiences to be understood and skillfully directed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom applies perfectly to your journey toward meaningful connection. You cannot control whether others will become your friends, but you have complete power over how you show up in relationships and the authentic presence you bring to every human interaction. The 9 barriers we've explored together, from introversion and trust issues to changing circumstances and diverse interests, aren't permanent walls blocking your path to friendship. They're simply challenges that can be transformed into strengths through Stoic wisdom and practical application. Your introversion becomes quiet strength when you embrace it fully. Your trust issues become discernment when you balance openness with wisdom. Your busy lifestyle becomes intentional living when you prioritize what truly matters. Seneca observed, "It is likely that some troubles will befall us, but it is not a present fact. How often has the unexpected happened? How often has the expected never come to pass?" Applied to friendship, this reminds us that our fears about social rejection, awkward conversations, or failed connections are often imaginary troubles that may never materialize. The friendship you've been hoping for might be just one genuine conversation away. Be courageously open to seeking the friendships that resonate with your authentic self, not the person you think you should be to impress others. Whether you find connection through volunteering in your community, joining professional development workshops, exploring outdoor activities, or simply being more present in your daily interactions, remember that quality always trumps quantity in the realm of human relationships. The diamond metaphor we began with remains true. Genuine friendships are rare and precious, but they exist. Sometimes they're hidden beneath surface differences. waiting to be discovered through patient curiosity and authentic interest in others' experiences. Sometimes they emerge during life's challenging moments when people reveal their true character. Sometimes they develop slowly over time as trust builds through consistent, small acts of kindness and understanding. Epictetus taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Your approach to friendship should embody Stoic principles. Wisdom in choosing relationships, courage in being vulnerable, justice in treating others with respect and kindness, and temperance in balancing your social life with other important commitments. As you move forward on this journey, remember that every person you meet, whether they become a lifelong friend or a brief acquaintance, offers an opportunity for growth, learning, and practicing the art of human connection. Your worth as a person isn't determined by the size of your social circle, but by the authenticity, kindness, and wisdom you bring to every interaction. If this exploration of Stoic wisdom and friendship has provided value for your journey, please give this video a thumbs up to help us reach others who might be searching for these same insights. Subscribe to the Stoic Vivu channel and hit the notification bell to continue receiving ancient wisdom for modern life challenges. Share this content with someone who might benefit from understanding that being alone doesn't mean being defective. Sometimes it means being selective. We're eager to hear about your own experiences navigating friendship in the modern world. Share in the comments whether you identify as an introvert, extrovert, or ambivert, and tell us which of these 9 barriers resonates most with your experience. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Stoic wisdom. Until our next exploration together, stay stoic and keep fostering those meaningful connections that make life truly rich.